Today, I want to do my Houston Texans schedule prediction. And before we get into this, I want to talk about the two main things I think are going to influence this season for the Texans. The first up being the offensive line. I honestly think that this might be the worst offensive line in football this year. C.J. Stroud was one of the most sacked quarterbacks last season, and then they lose both their starting left tackle and their starting right guard. But I think the other influencing factor is the defense, because this is a top 5 defense in my opinion. They have plenty of notable names like Will Anderson, Derek Stingley. They also have a lot of solid guys like Jalen Petrie. But enough of that, let's get into the schedule. I do have them losing the first 3. I think that with Jared Verse on the line for the Rams and nobody to protect C.J. Stroud, I think Jared Verse is going to have a crazy game, and I think this Texans team is held to a very low score in their first game of 2025. And it's kind of the same story for both the other teams. I think Vita Vea will probably have a big game. I think Josh Allen will probably have a good game. I think a lot of these teams are going to get away with maybe wins they shouldn't against this defense. I think it'll be a lot like the Chicago Bears last season, where their defense played outstanding. It won them a few games, but ultimately the offensive line completely held them back. Week 4 against Tennessee, I do have them getting a win. I think that Cam Ward being a rookie, this is a scary defense. Let's not discount that. But I don't think that there's anybody too scary on this Titans defense that would be able to completely take the game away. In Week 5, I got a loss to Baltimore, and then after the bye, I do have them winning against the Seahawks. I think the Seahawks are in a similar position. The line isn't great, but they've got great surrounding positions. They have a pretty good defense. But I think that ultimately they win against the Seahawks because the defense is a little bit better. I have them losing against San Fran. I think that despite the departures for San Francisco, I think the offense is still going to be good. I think the defense is going to be good. I just don't think the Texans are going to be able to keep up. And then I have them beating the Broncos. I think that the defense will win them a few games, and I think this is one that they probably shouldn't win, but they will because of the defense. And it should be a low-scoring affair. I do have them getting back-to-back W's with them beating the Jaguars and getting their revenge. But back-to-back wins are followed by back-to-back losses. They will lose to the Titans and Buffalo before getting a win against Indy. Week 14, I have them losing against the Chiefs. I just don't think that the Chiefs are going to get beat just because there's a great defense. They also have to have a high-powered offense, and I don't know if the Lions going to be able to keep up with Chris Jones, George Karlaftis, Nick Bolton. I don't think it's going to happen. And then the final 4 stretch, I got them winning against Arizona, another game that their defense will win them. And then I have them losing against Las Vegas, the Chargers, and Indy. I'm expecting a huge regression for the Texans, mostly because of the line, and that leaves them with a 6-11 record to finish the season. And I know they have all these great players in C.J. Stroud, Nico Collins, Joe Mixon, Will Anderson, but it's hard to make these things work when you don't have the trenches on one side of the ball.